Thanks for joining us again, Jared, Maddie. Another week. How have we been going?
Oh, yeah, pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Closing in on Easter too, so, looking to put on a few extra kgs, if you know what I mean.
I've already started there.
Yeah.
The Greeks have 2 Easters.
Yeah,
we've got white person Easter and Greek Easter, so it's like double the feasting.
So they'll be rolling you out.
Yeah, that's
at the end of the holidays, will they?
Yeah, even more so.
All right, tonight's episode is The Conjuring from 2013. But before we get to it, just a quick whip round. Maddie, have you watched anything decent?
No, nothing decent.
The Bachelor? The Bachelorette?
Yeah, they've got a new one
Married
out.
at First Sight?
They had a new one out. New
Have
Bachelor.
they?
Yeah, the chick was like... I'd never seen anything like it. They were like 3 episodes in, she picked the bloke she wanted and just was like, this is done, and wrapped it up.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, well, that's good. That's different.
Yeah, they did the whole thing. We're going to do the celebrity roast where they grill the Bachelorette, and they just... Every single dude just ripped on this one guy, and then he went home with us, so bad luck. And they've just rolled out a new Bachelorette, and they're like, so you guys want to fall in love with this chick instead?
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
It is ridiculous.
This is a G-up, isn't it? It's got to be.
I've never seen it. It was the weirdest thing.
They're taking the piss.
My wife gave me the lowdown. She knew the whole backstory before this all started, but she was like,
good Lord.
I think they stayed together for a year. They did all right.
Fuck.
Oh, okay, they got 12 months out of it.
Yeah,
Shit.
Is anyone actually still invested in that? Does anyone still actually say, oh, they stayed together for a bit? Like, who gives a fuck? We know by now not to worry about that.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing.
Yeah, correct.
Nothing significant that I could think of. I should have written some stuff down, maybe, but yeah, nothing.
Jesus.
Nothing that I'm like, oh, I definitely need to talk about that one.
Oh, well. You never
Yeah.
fail to entertain us with that anyway.
Jared? Jared, did you have anything?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Another Danish animated film?
No more animated films out of the European regions there. Walker, of course, Adam. I kept on
I
going with Walker.
missed episode 7.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. Bit of a dud.
Oh, really? I think that's what I think every week. I didn't miss much.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so I got onto Psycho Goreman as soon as I could.
Oh.
Yes, I saw it was available to hire on the Apple Store, so I quickly jumped in and had a look. Yeah, I pretty much got what I was expecting out of it. A bit of fun, a bit of comedy. It was pretty much as expected, and I would say if you've got an interest from the trailer, definitely have a bit of a look at it. It was a bit of fun.
All right.
It certainly wasn't.
See, I
Father's
thought it was
Day,
going to be on Shudder.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've got a deal on Shudder.
Oh, right. That's right. Shudder's got a deal, which is it gets released and then 12 months later we put it on. Is that the fucking deal?
Shudder's got a deal.
Because it sounds like a shit deal.
Shudder's got a deal that says, "Oh, you're a horror flick. We'll just ignore you in Australia." No, I think they're gonna if it streams, they're gonna chuck it on, and I'm hoping that extends to Australia. But regardless, I'll probably pick it up on Blu-ray just to have there.
Okay.
The only other thing I got to is that I was prepping for the Snyder Cut. So I sat down with my little bloke and we ran through Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, and the first Justice League. And I started the Snyder Cut. I say started because it's fucking 4 hours long. And we've gotten through pretty much 3 hours, just under 3 hours of it. But that's been in that was in 4 sittings. Obviously, I've got a limit when he's got to go to bed, so I'm sitting there going, "Oh fuck, I just want to finish watching it." But he's like, "Oh no,
you got to wait.
I want to see it." So, I've got 3/4 of the way through it. It is better. I think it's better. There's a few things that are still pretty average about it, but I think the biggest thing for me is Cyborg. I really felt Cyborg was a missed opportunity in the first one, and this time they actually give him a chance to have something to do. And removing a bit of the comedy actually works. They took out some of the stuff that Joss Whedon had put in, obviously, and some of that was the comedic elements. And they kind of leave most of that to the Flash, which actually works. So yeah, so far so good. I haven't got to the pointy end just yet, but I'm thinking overall it's going to come out as an improvement on what it was, which is a bit surprising because I was never huge on Zack Snyder's visions for the other stuff. I mean, watching Man of Steel this time, I recalled Man of Steel being the one where I thought, no, it wasn't as bad as people said. Watching it this time, I was really very down on Man of Steel, and I actually enjoyed Batman vs Superman more than I had the previous time. So, again, they got a lot of things wrong, but Man of Steel just... I mean, fuck, Adam, me and you have discussed this ad nauseum, but the ridiculousness of the whole nature of Superman... You've got a great actor like Kevin Costner, and you fucking lump him with this bullshit about you can't show anyone who you are. And it's like, well, yeah, but can you show me how to fucking use my powers for good without, while still concealing my identity? Whereas Costner's tact is just, no, you just don't do any of it. And that whole death scene with him is just one of the stupidest things I've ever seen involving a character who's had some extremely stupid things happen to it. So, yeah, I was
let me remind me, Jared. Doesn't before that sequence occur? Doesn't he pick up a school bus?
Yes,
full of kids.
Well,
so the fucking jig is up.
Yeah. The fucking cat's out of the bag. The super cat has fucking flown out of the bag a long time ago. But just the whole sequence.
No one's signing a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody says that kid picked up a school bus.
Yeah, that's right. It's already out, and I mean Lois Lane tracked it down fairly easily when she went to investigate it after Superman had been slumming around on fucking oil rigs and all sorts of shit.
That's right.
But
he'd been deadliest catch at some point, wasn't he? Unbelievable.
But the thing for me was the sequence, and apologies if you haven't seen Man of Steel, but just block your ears for a minute. But I mean, Kevin Costner's death sequence is just the stupidest thing. Like, not only does he have the opportunity to let Clark go and do the saving, but he fucking stumbles his way out there, gets in the shit when he could have been safe. He could have been safe under there and thought, well, if anyone thinks they saw something, it's a hurricane. You could just say they don't know what they saw. There was a lot of wind going on. They just got confused. But Costner fumbles out there, gets himself fucking stuck in the bloody truck door or something, and then tells Clark, no, don't save me. And I'm just sitting there going, this is just the stupidest thing, the absolute stupidest thing. And I mean, I know I've got background. I keep going back to that. For me, it's never been done better than when his old man died of a heart attack, and he heard it from cities away, but he couldn't do anything. And that's kind of perfect for me. Like, if that's the way you want to go.
So why did they mix it here?
I don't.
Because doesn't that happen in Superman the movie?
No.
His father has a heart attack.
I can't remember. I'd have to go back to that, but I don't think it was...
I think his father just has a heart attack.
Yeah.
In the original one.
Yeah, and it was a bit different to the situation I'm describing, but you mix it up for...
Still couldn't save him, though.
I mean, there's other ways to get this whole outsider thing and not being able to show your true self or trying to discover your true self without that sort of shit. I'm sorry. It just gets... I just don't understand when you've got so much to pick from. You literally have, like, what is it? It's over 80 years worth of continuity to pick and choose the best little bits out of every story, and you come up with that nonsense.
Yeah.
Just does my head in. But anyway, sorry. We'll move on.
No, that's all right.
That was everything.
So nothing else?
No, that was it.
Nothing else? All right. I knocked out a couple more of the 30 for 30 docos. Watched The Year of the Scab, which is about the NFL had a players' strike.
Yeah.
And they used scab players, they were called, basically, guys. Yeah, and you know what? It was a really good doco. I didn't know anything about it, but it was fucking, was really interesting stuff.
Was it as good as Ricky Flair, or was it just lacking that little bit of woo? On the, yeah.
No, it did. Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, it did lack a little bit of woo. There's none of that there, but overall, it was a really interesting doco because it was something different that I didn't know a lot about. I also watched one called Pony Excess, which is about the Southern Methodist University and their cheating scandal, paying people under the table and so on and so forth. I watched Ma, Jared, the Blumhouse horror film.
I saw that on there.
Look, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
The premise is kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit all over the shop. I think Octavia Spencer is good, and it probably makes up for some of those problems. But overall, it was a bit of a miss from Blumhouse, I would have said. Yeah, not much there. And the only other thing I watched, and I'd been picking at this for a while, I actually caught the remake or the reboot of Nancy Drew, which is on CW.
Yep. Classic CW.
Yeah, they've gone, it looks great, and the actress playing Nancy Drew is really good, but they've gone like supernatural. Like, it's gone a supernatural route. It's like Riverdale or that other one that was on Netflix that's connected to Riverdale.
Yeah, I can't
Sabrina, Teenage Witch, or one of those.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically how, I haven't seen that one, but that's basically how a lot of reviews have sort of couched it.
But it's supposed to be
very similar. Yeah, whereas this wasn't, in my mind, isn't meant to be like that.
No.
Later in the season, it started to find its feet a little bit, and there was some interesting twists. But overall, I was just kind of like, why have we gone down this route?
Well, what the fuck's going on?
Who thought this was a fucking good idea?
Nancy Drew's getting supernatural. Unsolved Mysteries is avoiding the supernatural. Shit's getting all upside down here.
Walker's become a pussy who won't hit anyone. I mean, come on. This is lunacy. I can't have this. So I don't really know. I mean, it got an early renewal, Jared. It's got an early renewal. I don't know whether I'll look at the second season. I just think it's probably going to be the same stuff, and I just don't know whether this is the right way to go with this. Maybe it's because it's becoming to a new audience, they don't really care for the mythology of it and what it is meant to be, I guess. So.
Right.
I wasn't super impressed, I can say that much.
That's kind of interesting because I've actually just got my daughter's just reading a bit of the Nancy Drew stuff, and we've sort of got into a little bit of that. And there was an interesting take in the comics where the Hardy Boys were solving Nancy Drew's murder, which is a kind of cool take on it. Like that's the sort of thing where you see a twist and think, oh yeah, that's not a bad idea, because that's the go for those sort of things. But supernatural. Doesn't sort of...
That's not right.
No.
Well, I believe Hulu just released a Hardy Boys series as well, which I think is more in keeping with what that was.
Yeah.
So, non-supernatural.
Yep.
They're calling it sort of, it's a little bit sort of more kid-friendly, I believe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind checking that out to see how they sort of handle that.
I mean, shouldn't Nancy Drew should just be like a teenage murder she wrote, right?
Kind of, yeah. And just have an overarching mystery.
Yeah.
Basically, Veronica Mars. That's what Veronica Mars was.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You cross over with Walker, and the mystery is why won't Walker punch anybody anymore?
The mystery is why can't Walker and his actual wife get any sparks of chemistry going on here? Directors across the board, the writers' room, they're all asking the same question. What's going on here?
Yeah.
All right, but that's it for me.
Excellent.
All right, let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2013's The Conjuring.
What are you guys?
We've been called demonologists, paranormal researchers.
They've investigated the Amityville Horror and the Haunting in Connecticut. On July 19th, their most terrifying case.
There's a lady in a dirty nightgown that I see in my dreams.
begins.
Look what she made me do.
The Conjuring, rated R, July 19th.
The Conjuring from 2013, directed by James Wan, who directed Saw, produced by Rob Cowan, who produced Aquaman, and Tony DeRosa Grund, who produced Josie and the Pussycats. It's written by Chad Hayes and Carey W. Hayes, who both wrote House of Wax. It stars Vera Farmiga as Lorraine Warren, Patrick Wilson as Ed Warren, Lily Taylor as Carolyn Perron, and Ron Livingston as Roger Perron. The budget was $20 million. The box office was $319 million worldwide. And this is the first film directed by James Wan that did not involve Lee Winnell in any way. Jared, thoughts on The Conjuring?
I think it's a bit of a gem. Obviously, you don't often get the sort of spin-offs and the sequels and whatever from an absolute dud of a film. So I think the thing for me is it's one of those films, in a lot of ways, it's one of those films that we criticise as just trying to go for the style, just going for the jump scares and whatever, but it does it so much better. I think it wisely plays it straight and embraces the Warrens' stories and just runs with them. I also think part of the success is that it parallels kind of the two families that they're going through. Not going through similar things, but there's parallels with the families. There's things that you can connect between the two, and they develop these sort of really nice relationships between Ed and Lorraine, and then kind of take that into the other family and show that it's almost like through the other family you see what's at stake for themselves. And I think that's a nice touch, even though it's just a little bit. It's enough to go along with those really solid jump scares to get the job done. Very few dislikes. I'll discuss that when we get to it. But I think on a good day, I'd probably have a 4, which I thought I was going to end up more in the sort of 3.5 range. But I actually think there's parts in there that are. I mean, some of the jump scares are legit classics now. Like, I just look at it and think that was fucking excellent. So, yeah, I'll go for a 4.
All right. Matty?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same wheelhouse there for in terms of just quality. The scares that have your guts churning in parts and just make you feel uncomfortable for almost 2 hours.
You sure you didn't eat a Rashos before you watched it?
It was real. That tree's doesn't even have to do anything. It's iconic now, and just it's I think in terms of a movie that can keep you engaged, and unlike The Exorcist, which is pretty much concentrated fear in one room, there's stuff going on all over the house that they pace out really well, and it doesn't lose me at any point. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm happy to give that one a 4. I was pushing 4.5 even.
Yeah, I'm with you. I went for a 4, but I was really close to 4.5. I only have a couple of dislikes, and they're really just sort of like repetition and a little bit of flab in the middle. Like, I don't really have sequences that I didn't particularly like because I found a lot of it really, really engaging. I reckon it's probably one of the best scary movies in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I actually think this jump scares are fantastic, but they're actually mixed with a bit of dread and atmosphere and stuff that adds to that. One sequence in particular that I'll get to in the likes is there's no jump or scare in it, but there's something about it that's really, really unsettling. And those sorts of things add to the jump scares. And I agree with you, Jared. Some of the jump scares are absolutely awesome. Like, when you've sat through the amount of horror films that we have, you don't usually get caught by these that often.
No.
But numerous times I was, look, I'm a stress shitter, Jared, so, I've got some stories to tell on this one.
Well, finally, it's you kind of mentioned that, and it's like we're kind of conditioned not to get too bothered by this sort of stuff now because we watched plenty of horror flicks and whatever. But I was checking it out on the iPad, and at one point I was moving rooms, and I've walked between my iPad, and my son's walked in front of me, and I've gone, oh, shit, just go and sit down or something. Just continue.
Yeah. Exactly.
Only because I was in the midst. I was so caught up in it. You know, like you just.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I was wound. I was like a fucking coiled spring, Adam.
I was like a half-open pocket knife the whole time. Highly recommend it for me.
Yeah.
It's a must-watch if you're a horror fan.
Mm.
And look, kicking off the likes, I think James Wan's direction is just top class. He drip feeds the sort of the atmosphere into it. You open with that whole thing about Annabelle, which is creepy in its own right.
Yeah.
And then we get to meet the family and we move to the next case, and he just builds this kind of dread where all you can think about is where what's going to jump out at me.
Yeah. It's creepy, but it introduces what the Warrens actually do as well. For anyone that was unfamiliar with them going in, it gives a quick intro, gives you that creepiness. And as you said, he's on the top of his game. Like they're just done. The jump scares are just done so effectively. Like use of, he takes his time. Like it's a lot of the film is building up a good jump scare. The use of noise, the way they sort of escalate. Like sometimes it's one jump scare, which is pretty effective, is then kind of building to the next one that's even better. Like
they establish a baseline like a normal thing. So things like the clapping game, which is called back, the sleepwalking, which turns into the headbutting of the cupboard, which just turns into some of the creepiest moments in the movie. There's just a whole bunch of those little moments that they seem normal and you can pass them off.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention and watching it as someone who likes breaking down new movies, but if you're like just watching it for fun, you're like, yeah.
And he also knows, I think, obviously we know a little bit about his background, and obviously starting in with Saw and seemingly being a horror fan, it plays to his advantage because he knows what you're going to expect, and he sometimes he gives you that, but sometimes he twists it, and it's a bait and switch, or it's a delayed. What you think it is, it's not actually that.
Yeah.
And it's very few times where that misses the mark.
Or he gives you exactly what you expect, but he holds off long enough that you kind of go, oh, okay, it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
And then bang, it is exactly what it was supposed to be.
He holds off long enough, Adam, that you've built up a stress shit ready to go.
Oh, yeah. By the time it's happened, I've run to the toilet.
He's even got the characters in there that you're expecting that are skeptical themselves, and then when they become scared, it just adds to the atmosphere of what's going on.
Yeah,
and the seriousness.
There's one scene jump scare in particular with when the Annabelle story's getting told. There's a banging on the front door.
Yeah.
Firstly, if someone's banging on my front door, I'm not just opening the door. I'm going, who's out there?
Yeah, I could imagine you. It's not just creeping out the door, looking at it. It's fucking kicking the door down. Who the fuck's knocking on my door? This time of the morning.
I'll be with you in a second. I've just got to take a shit.
Yeah.
But they bang on the door. She opens it. They delay, and she leans down to pick something up, and then the banging comes from the door directly next to the girl who's in the hallway.
Yeah, that's right. That was good.
And it kind of gets you because you don't expect it to come from there.
No, that's right.
But he really works well with that. The cast is excellent.
Yeah.
I think Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are really, really good together.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is an example,
it works.
Unlike Sammy Jones, where someone playing something earnestly but also being good actors.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty well.
True.
They've got really good chemistry together too. Like you bought them as a married couple.
Yes.
So I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And I think that Ron Livingston and Lily Taylor are also pretty good together.
Yeah.
I think that those performances are solid.
Well, we've got a little bit to chat about with Ron Livingston at points, but yeah.
Is it his hair?
No. It's the nonchalant nature, Adam.
It's very relaxed.
True. He does do a little bit of minor annoyance about the fact that his wife's requires an exorcism.
I thought I was back in Office Space, mate, where he's got I wouldn't say I've been missing it. Like, he was delivering the lines the same way as he was doing that, but yeah.
Yeah, I got a meeting with the Bobs, man.
Oh, man.
The house, excellent location.
Yeah, definitely.
The tree.
Yep.
It's kind of a cavernous kind of house, but it's all kind of run down and everything's kind of dark and dingy and there's shadows everywhere you go, and
even the water.
You know,
just that water creates a threat instantly too.
Yeah. But they do a really, they do a smart thing in that a lot of the things are familiar, like a creaking floorboard or a creaky door. Like, that's familiar. That's
Cobwebs,
something that you'll find anywhere, and so they kind of build up this obviously the location is really good, but they also make a familiarity about it that sort of anyone can relate to.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think it's a really nice location. It builds that atmosphere from the get-go. Like, the moment they drive up to it, you kind of get that sense of, this place, I wouldn't be staying here. I'd rather stay at the house at Amityville than this joint, Yeah. So I kind of think that was another nice little touch. I mentioned the Annabelle case at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Works great to sort of introduce us to the Warrens and show us their sort of bullshito diction out. But I really liked it because it was kind of... they take about 5 or 10 minutes to kind of showcase Annabelle, and that stuff was real creepy, with the whole room covered in, like, crayons and that says, "Do you miss me?" and all that sort of stuff. And they chuck her out, and next thing you know, she appears sitting in the bloody chair. And a good way to almost, like, set the scene for what was to come later,
Yep, absolutely.
So I dug that. I thought the stuff with the dog and the death of the dog was a really solid way to sort of start the scary sort of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
The dog knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
And won't go in the house, and then basically dies strangled to death.
Mm.
And it kind of, that's where everything kicks off.
Well, it was sort of like that's the escalation, right? It starts just really simply with the dog not coming inside, and then, as you said, get what we expect. Well, the dog's outside and it's barking, but I didn't think it was going to die, because I'm thinking, it's outside, it's safe, because it won't come in. And then, so when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, shit. Like, immediately getting that sense of, I'm getting something here from somebody who knows what I'm going to be thinking is going to happen, and maybe twisting it a little bit for me.
It's instantly emotive. Yeah. Dogs and kids.
Yep. Totally.
For guys our age, it's definitely a trigger point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And again, that's a nice way to get you emotionally invested a little bit. So they killed, the dog's dead. And then we really spend some time kind of shaking up the kids for the next probably about 25 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
We spend some time kind of putting the kids through the ringer a touch. So, the little girl having the bedclothes yanked off her to start with.
Yep.
And then we've got the girl headbutting the
cupboard.
Yeah. They introduce that, though, in such a way where it's like they've got a bit of comedy attached to it. Like, stop farting and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's...
I did get a laugh out of that.
Yeah, it's not serious yet. It's like... It's escalating. They do a really good chant. Yeah. That's just like the stepping stone, the building block to
which is perfect, right? A little bit of humour in there gets you back, gets the equilibrium sort of back level, ready to set you up for another one.
Yeah, it doesn't take the threat.
Exactly.
The threat's not as serious at that point.
I need that. I need to start using that as a cover. Next time I get blamed for a fart, I'm like, no, there's demons.
Demonic presence for sure.
Yeah. Smells like, what do they keep saying? Smells like rotting meat.
It was actually the demon that farted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The demon of Rashays.
The demon reckoned Rashays is pretty much... he had a Rashays meal, and now he's been thrown out.
Yeah. Poor old demon's been dropping his guts all morning.
Yeah, the headbutting in the door, and that again creepy because it's just that constant sort of bang, 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 and then the girl looks up and she's just walking, sort of trying to walk through it, and they kind of explain it away with sleepwalking.
Yeah.
And they put it. The sister just puts her back in bed.
And then they create the creepiness with they're saying that she doesn't really do it like this. It's like a different manifestation of the sleepwalking. So it's sort of like adding again.
Yeah. But also the next sequence with them is my personal favourite, is the girl is looking, she's woken by having the bedclothes pulled off, and she's looking at the door and saying there's something behind the door. But the way they do it is you can't quite tell whether there's something there or not. It's just that he kind of like, because of the way the acting is going and your mind is going, well, shit, is there something there or not? Yeah, I just found that sequence unsettling. I took a stress poo after it. But it wasn't a jump scare, and it was probably the most unsettling sequence in the film for me. And that's the atmosphere and the build-up.
I would say the next sort of 10 minutes were the most unsettling for myself. The back-to-back of the classic hide and clap scare.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's absolute, it's classic. It's right up there with some of the best work. And then the demon on top of the wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a prime example of, like you said, because that sequence you were talking about was super creepy, even though nothing eventuated. So when they do this one and they're in the cupboard and then they close the cupboard, I'm thinking it's the same thing. And then we get the fucking look at the fucking thing sitting on top of the wardrobe. Talk about a fucking stress poo. I mean, I remember the first time I watched it, that was like I was totally just knocked back by that one.
My consciousness had blocked out this entire movie. I remembered there was something to do with the cupboard.
Yeah.
I remembered the mum got possessed. I didn't remember anything else, and I shit my pants on that one. That was definitely a good one.
Well,
that was a cracker.
Well,
because you
I
think
took
it's
3
done.
stress poos and had a sore ass from overwiping during that 10-minute sequence.
Taking it to a dirty place.
Because that was just great scare after great scare.
Yeah, and it was, going even further back, the build up with the 2 hands coming out of the cupboard doing the clap, and then the girl comes from behind. I'd forgotten about that one, and that wasn't even a jump scare. That was just like, you think it's her. You think, there's a sense that something's a little off, but you think it's her, and then you see the hands, and then the girl comes in behind and tells her, "Ha, you didn't catch me," or whatever. I'm just like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that one. That's creepy too. It's just this constant escalation for about half an hour that is just, it's excellent stuff.
Well, it's interesting because it kind of never really stops there, because that you continue to get more and more of those sequences. It just kind of goes, it piles a few of them on, and that probably slides slightly into a dislike for me. But the bit where she's pegging the clothes on the line, and it blows away, and it wraps around some kind of human-looking entity.
Yep.
Just gone, holy shit, I forgot about that. Then she looks up at the window. I'll be back in a minute.
I had a minor issue with that, but the idea of it was like excellent. And the way that
she looks up into the window too, and then sees.
Yeah, because she follows it to the window, and then the sheet blows away, and then something's standing in the window. Like, just excellent stuff, really.
And even something as simple as when Ed records her sort of testimony, and then he plays it back, and there's nothing there from her end.
Yeah.
And then he plays it back a second time, and there's just this horrible voice going.
You forget about it, and then the 307 ticks over, and you're like, "Oh, it's back." And I'd forgotten, and then it kicked in. You're just like, "Oh, Jesus."
Yeah, stop it, go away. It is kind of relentless there for a bit, Adam. Like the kid in the mirror, the feet hanging behind Ed that She can see, but because most of them are so well done, I didn't really feel like it was detracting too much.
No.
It just, continued moving on through those scares, and most of them were pretty solid. Like the feet one especially got me for some reason, even though it was fairly minor. Just the picture, like you could hear the creaking, which again, great use of sound. Then you see those gnarly fucking feet hanging behind him too. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, you see that another time as well, where the
She falls down the
girl,
shaft.
Yeah, and she sees the feet dangling there.
That is creepy. That whole bit.
Yeah, because they turn around to it.
Yeah. But there's that whole bit with the woman in the kitchen with the copper, and she's screaming at him, "Look what you made me do!"
Yeah, yep.
And I think she's cut her wrist. Is that right?
Yeah.
She cut her wrist.
That one's definitely a jump scare.
That
comes out of nowhere.
But it's just like consistently sticking to that and going down and it's probably about 40 minutes worth where it's just scare after scare and creepy moment after creepy moment, and then it just kind of blasts into the finale. So it really doesn't give you time to breathe.
The bit in the basement with the ghost of the mother, that fat woman,
she's
combing the hair,
out of focus behind.
Oh,
yeah, that was creepy.
That was,
especially when there's kind of like a moment of recognition and she starts turning her head, but the body's kind of still, and it's all out of focus. It's
she's trying to hide down there, hoping that she can avoid all this, and it's just right in her face.
Yeah, fucking
And then they reintroduce Annabelle briefly.
Yes, very briefly
as well, which is a super creepy moment where the little girl sees Annabelle sitting in the chair with this weird looking dude or whatever holding it, and then her head, the doll's head just kind of goes and turns to look at her.
Yep.
Like really, really well done.
Well, actually, we spoke a little bit about the humour. The Officer Brad or whatever his name is, going to the crapper, setting off the bells. Great stuff for me. I loved it.
Yeah, he rolls out and goes, "I had to go, damn it."
Yeah, and it's sort of, again, it's that thing where they just take the foot off the gas for a moment, and you feel comfortable, and then it's like, not for too long. Like we're gonna throw some more at you very shortly, but it's just done so effectively and just paced out nicely. I mean, there's only really, in the whole movie, there's those two moments of where I was kind of laughing at something, and it was the kids and Brad, but it was just sort of nicely paced in between all these scares to set me up just to knock me down again.
Yeah. And look, the finale for me was pretty damn good too, with her basically turning and them sort of racing to get to her. You know, she takes the kids and she goes back to the house, and now she's possessed by the woman.
They save a whole lot of time by you walk into the house and they're holding her back with the scissors in her hand.
Yeah.
And she's screaming possessed. I thought that was a good way to save time and just kick the action off straight away.
Yeah. And then she bites Brad's face.
Poor bloke.
Jesus. Yeah, the poor bastard, he had a pretty rough go of it in the end. And then they go into the exorcism. And there's a couple of moments there that are fairly creepy. It's fairly sort of high octane, I guess, and kind of less about atmosphere and suspense and more of just full on sort of balls to the wall stuff happening. But just that visual of her with the white sheet over her face, and then she vomits blood into it, directly onto her.
And then it sort of tears
I thought that was
open
great.
a bit.
Yeah.
When it tears open and you just get a little bit of a look at the face, it's kind of like, just put the sheet back on if you could.
Yeah. Get another sheet, damn it. I'm going upstairs to the toilet.
Yeah. I need a higher thread count this time.
A blanket. Get a damn bloody blanket, damn it.
Yeah, that was
I didn't have any issues with any of that. Like, I found a lot of that was really, because it kind of ramps up. Like, they do a good job of kind of coming home with a real head of steam.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a problem with it, but not greatly. I kind of felt like it was satisfying enough. You knew that was sort of where it was headed, but yeah, I think for the most part it was done fairly effectively, and they try to stick with that family kind of theme to it from both sides, from the Warrens and from the other family. They're kind of both fighting for their souls, I guess. So yeah, I was happy enough with that.
That was all I had in the likes.
Mm-hmm. I've got two more. I like that they used the kids to pass on a message. The kids innocently don't understand what's going on, and then they'll pass on a message about from that, say something that they shouldn't have heard, or the innocence gets lost there. That was really good.
Yeah.
And I really like the infrared cameras going off. I thought that was such a good way to build the suspense. It's just the camera just starts click, 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 and everybody starts running and papers are flying in the air, and I thought that was really solid.
Yeah.
The birds too, actually. I like the use of the birds.
Yeah, the first
crashing
bird,
into the house.
The first bird, when he walks out and sees the first bird kind of writhing on the ground, all fucked up, I'm like, ugh, yeah, again.
That's uncomfortable. Yeah,
it's just getting you off kilter a little bit.
Yeah, and then when they start swarming around, had a bit of Alfred Hitchcock to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I must admit the film did actually remind me a lot of Poltergeist.
Yeah, and again, Poltergeist got pretty good mileage out of you putting the kids in danger. You're putting this sort of family unit in danger, like that way. Yeah, so it's pretty well established, but done quite well here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, it's nothing new, but it's done with real style and skill.
Yeah. And
I think that's something to be kind of high on. Because, we've talked about this before, Jared. It's like slasher films. Like, I don't care if it's as fucking generic as hell, as long as you do it well.
Yeah, bit of style to it.
All right, on to the dislikes. I just found during that period of high suspense, when I wasn't in the toilet, they do tend to repeat a little bit. Just a little bit. I didn't find it. It took me out of it. It was a very minor issue for mine. But there's just a little bit of repetition of some of the jump scares and some of the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think the repetition was... I feel like it played in its favour mostly because it was repeating the hide and clap or repeating the kids in the bedroom, but building to something different each time. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I think perhaps they could have mixed it up slightly, but I feel like maybe if they had done too much, it would have actually felt more like we're just going from jump scare to jump scare here.
Yeah, true. They probably needed to space it out a little bit, and they were using some of that repetition to do that.
Because I look at
which was fine.
I look at something like The Mirror, and I liked the jump scares that came out of The Mirror. And again, they did something where nothing happened the first time, although you feel like there is something there, and then when Lorraine looks at it, it does happen.
She does it with a purpose.
Yeah, but it feels like even that one, I was looking at it going, we're kind of going back to the well of similar things, maybe too many of the jump scares one after the other. So I kind of get what you're saying there for sure.
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of sequences where it was a little bit too dark, so I couldn't actually tell what was going on a couple of times. Not often, but there's one in particular in the early going where the girl's looking under her bed in the middle of the night. But for a little bit there, I couldn't actually tell whether she was looking under the bed or not. And the problem was, too, the camera work was upside down. So when she sits back up, it does a big sort of 360 and comes back up overwood. So that was part of the problem too.
With that one, I thought I'd missed something. I thought, did something happen there because of the way she came back up? But I'm pretty sure there was just nothing there. It was just that she was freaked out and she came back up. But I was sort of... I wasn't sure about that one either.
But also, you had to take a bit of that, though, because my favourite sequence is
the one where
shot
not much
in darkness
necessarily
that you needed. You needed that darkness, or you couldn't get away with it.
Yeah.
So it was sort of, you had to sort of cop it. It was a bit of rocks and diamonds type of thing. You had to just accept it, that some of it you might not be able to see in little bits here and there. But it wasn't too bad, if you know what I mean. Like, it was a couple of sequences and that was it.
Yeah, for sure.
And my only other one was, it's just, there's a little bit of fat around the middle of the film. Things slow a little bit between going to the Warrens and getting them to help, and setting up the cameras, going to the priest, all that sort of stuff. It's just a little bit of fat there. You possibly could have trimmed, but again, very minor issue.
They go hard with the exposition in the lecture theatre.
Yeah. Big time.
What about you guys? What were the issues at your end?
Well, see, this one's not really a dislike for me. It's just, it is and it isn't. Because although it's essential to the movie working as well as it does, I think it's pretty well established that the Warrens were bullshit artists. Kind of taking it as straight as it does.
Yeah.
You had to for the movie to work. But then there's part of me that, you know, being someone that was sort of, you know, familiar enough with these guys before the movies came out to think, oh, well.
There's actually one of the interviews, the main guys that played Ed Warren's like, he's like, whether it's true or not, you've just got to play the character that's on the pages.
That's right.
As honestly as you can, and I think he did the best that he could with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, you know, that's credit to them. That's the way you had to do it. And I think James Wan was wise to just lean into it. Because otherwise, that's not the movie that it is. This horror movie, this scary movie. That's not what it is. If it goes any other way, but I mean,
they took Lorraine on the tour with her.
Yeah, I know. There's one point where it almost presents them as skeptics, where they're standing in someone's house going, "Oh, it's just the pipes," and I'm like, those motherfuckers never said that. They would have been there going, it's just the pipes, but let's get down.
Put some holy water on it.
Let's find a local author and we'll fucking concoct a story that'll make us all plenty of cash.
No, it's just the pipes. They're haunted.
Yeah.
The only time I honestly question them was when you're going through their museum of shit and they're keeping the most possessed doll on earth in a glass cabinet.
Yeah, that says absolutely do not touch. I reckon the pipes might be haunted at your place too, Adam. After this little
after this weekend they certainly are.
Yeah. Sticking to the Warrens, another
Ed
one.
And Lorraine give it this one though, Jared. They go, yeah, look, the pipes are haunted. For 3 payments of $2,000, we can get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, smells like rotting flesh in here. No, don't worry about that. That was already here. Sticking to the Warrens, there was a couple of times in the exposition-heavy parts and a couple of times when Ed is talking about possessions and things where I ended up laughing. Like the part where they're Ron Livingston's mentioning the knocks on the door and Ed's like, 3 times?
Yeah.
Stopping before dawn? Oh, Jesus, come on. That could have been played a little less clumsily. Like he mentions that like, oh, you really are in the shit, and I was kind of giggling. Like, no, we're in the shit when we find that disgusting thing sitting on top of the fucking wardrobe. Not while the door's clanging. That's all right. I can cop that.
No, but Ed finishes it up with, "You're knocking 3 times? Finishes before dawn? Oh, fuck, every shyster does uses that one. Oh, sorry, you're haunted. Your house is haunted."
Yeah. There was also another one where again, they're playing it super straight, and they had to, but when he stands at the door and they're talking about, you know, going to church and whatever, and then Ed comes out with, "Oh, our presence here could make things worse. We're a threat." And again, I started giggling like it was a fucking episode of Barge Ass or something. It was just, there was a couple of lines that were a little bit on the nose with that. So
I went and watched one of the interviews with one of the girls though, and she was like, things didn't kick off until they actually came in the house. But obviously,
yeah, things didn't kick off.
I think everyone's cashing in on it.
Ed turned up and said, "Let me check out this cupboard," and then we heard this "ooh" coming from inside the cupboard. And Ed said, "Oh shit, I better perform an exorcism. It'll only cost you $3,000."
Yeah. But within the psychology of these people, it's like to try and explain away what's happened.
Yeah.
That's where he's getting the story
Are you
from.
trying to say, Jared, that they found Ed wandering around the house at night with a sheet over his head? Surely not.
Possibly. Oh man. I mean, yeah. I don't want to. Don't want to get.
I don't want to
anyone
denigrate
upset.
the film by talking about these guys, but yes,
No.
I think conventional wisdom says they are bullshit artists. I believe. I think they're about as convincing as fucking Pete Evans.
About as trustworthy, I think. No. I mean, even just looking at some of the, even just again, I knew enough about them. I'd read enough about things like the comments that the author of the Amityville Horror made to the effect that, when he was trying to get some fact and Ed was just kind of just punch it up, make it scary. And, reading interviews with people that said, absolutely lovely people, not a shred of evidence with anything they're saying. It's sort of, yeah, I don't know.
You have to take our word for it. We're experts.
These are things that are well documented, unlike any of the hauntings.
I mean, they were up to their eyeballs in the Amityville horror fiasco.
Yeah, absolutely, and also
they were involved in that.
the one that was the haunting in Connecticut. I think. I think it was that one where a bloke that wrote a book about it essentially had the same story as the guy that wrote Amityville. Just make it up as long as it's scary.
Make it up as it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from you, mate?
Yeah, the sheep.
Well, Ronnie Livingston.
Ronnie Livingston. Well, me and Maddie will fill you in on those ones, but the sheep scene. Although I love the idea of it, the CGI of the sheet really sort of cuts down the effectiveness a touch when it's flying up towards the window. It looks pretty average.
Yeah.
So when we spoke about the ending before,
yeah,
I feel like when the mum actually gets possessed, there are still some moments, but it feels like the scares sort of taper off just a little bit. Feels like you go from this, it's coming from everywhere, to exactly what to expect. So that's the moment in the film where it's like, oh, we're pretty comfortable here. We know what's coming.
Yeah,
along.
it's more of sound and things getting thrown around the room and all that sort of stuff, but not anything tense.
Well, you've got everything happening in that room, and then old mate upstairs just wandering around doing whatever he wants, wherever he wants.
Yeah, looking for the little girl.
Yeah, and can't even hear anything from downstairs. He's not even aware that there's anything happening downstairs. So I thought that was sort of a bit like he should be stressed about what's happening down there as well, right?
And dead set, Officer
He should
Brad,
be stressed, all right.
who the fuck brings the shotgun to the exorcism and leaves it laying around? You fucking idiot. Jesus. Nearly had us all killed there. I thought you were experienced in this stuff.
No safety on.
Yeah, Officer Brad, come on, mate.
Now,
Ronnie Livingston. Get to me about Ronnie Livingston.
Ronnie Livingston. Okay, I'll let Maddie handle this one.
He's a cool customer. He's very chill. But even in the throes of his wife getting possessed and having to expel the demon, he is cool as fuck. He does not change his mood. He's like, come on, honey, remember the good times we had. He's almost like he's saying, well, if she doesn't come back, it's not the end of the world. He's just so casual about it. Come on, honey, we need you here. And they're yelling at him, show all your love that you've got. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
true,
all he can
true.
muster.
That sequence is very poor. Where
That's all
he's
the love that he
talking
can
to her.
muster.
He shows no stress whatsoever.
Yeah, he's not a stress shitter, Adam, that's for sure.
He doesn't know what stress shit he is. I mean, he shits clean and neat every time.
Yeah, he's like clockwork, mate. Nothing's going to scare it out of him.
307, he's on the job.
Yes, 307 on the job.
307.
He's taking a dump.
He's stopping clocks every night.
But you're spot on, Matty. His performance there, where he's talking to her and trying to show her that he loves her, is fucking laughable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, unbelievable.
Well, it'd be nice to have you back, maybe.
And that tied into the last, like, 3 or 4 minutes of it is just ridiculous. They come out of the house. There's a group hug on the lawn with the family after they get reunited. The power couple that have just expelled a demon come out with perfect hair, hugging each other and smiling after they've exorcised the fucking devil. It's unbelievable. Like, it's all smiles and laughter. And the policeman's the only one who's got like a slither of, what the fuck have we just been through?
Yeah.
And then the mum's like, all right, now that this is over, come and give me a hug, to her daughter who she just threatened multiple times with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
The reason why everybody's pretty relaxed, Matty, is because Ed and Lorraine made it up.
Yeah.
So it never really took place.
Fair enough.
I had an inkling that before they emerged from the front door, Ronnie Livingston was fucking passing the peace pipe around. Everyone had just sort of just taken the edge off a little bit.
Whatever he's on, I want some of that.
Yeah, your wife's been possessed by a demon, and Rod's like, whatever.
He's on the. They got confused.
Do you want to pull on the end of this thing?
They got confused with Pet Cemetery. He's on the peyote, and
Yeah,
And then Ed and Lorraine took off. Yeah, we got to go. Can we just borrow that sheet that's hanging on the line? That'll come in handy.
Oh, God. Anything else there?
Oh, look, I got a bit annoyed with the Catholic priest who's like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And then he's like, I'll see if I can push it through. He's very casual about it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're not Catholic.
I'll push it through personally.
But we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Do you have to get sign off for an exorcism from the Pope?
Yeah, I think
that seems like a lot of hoops to jump through for an exorcism.
I think that's an actual thing. Yeah, I think that's an actual thing.
Oh, this is a fucking. It's a sham. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Maddie.
You could just say yes. We got
see the Pope
permission
sitting
from
up
the
in
Pope.
Vatican City going.
You could just say I got
want
permission.
another exorcism. Fuck off.
I saw I saw a doco on it, and you do need to get permission from someone. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I believe Ed Warren was fucking sanctioned by the church, so there's definitely cash going on the tables here. There's definitely.
Mate, he must have put on the performance of his life.
Oh. I reckon he's rocking up to church and they're going, oh, look, Ed's looking for another exorcism. Well, how much did he put in the plate today? It folded. Okay, we'll fucking toss him another. There's something going on there.
Yeah, I'd suggest Ed paid his way onto the payroll there to become an exorcist.
Yeah.
I believe there was a couple of those dudes in that documentary on Cursed Films. Couple of blokes, one bloke in particular who told us he was an exorcist, and quite frankly I couldn't stop laughing when he was doing it.
That was quite amusing, that one.
Alright, is that it?
That's it for
That's
me.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good flick.
Alright, that was The Conjuring. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes, Spotify, and quite a few other podcasting sites. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Make sure you rate and review us or drop us a line if you're interested in us doing a specific film. Now, next episode. Look, this one has straddled the line. I'm not even sure this is an action film. It's kind of partial action film / thriller. Would that be a fair assessment?
It's a fair assessment.
Yeah, definitely.
It's 1998's snake eyes. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.